This week, the Armenian mobile network operator Telecom said it had struck a deal to take a 30% stake in SkyTel, one of Georgia's biggest telecommunications firms. Telecom co-owner Haik Yesayan said the acquisition will help the company on its path to becoming a leading mobile network operator in the South Caucasus. SkyTel director Archil Khojashvili also welcomed the deal, saying he hoped to study Telecom's extensive fiber optic cable network in Armenia and apply lessons learned to Georgia. Haik Yesayan and his brother Alexander have long been key players in Armenia's communications sector. They bought Telecom in 2020, shortly after leaving the rival mobile network operator Ucom, which they founded a decade earlier. The Yesayans left Ucom amid reported conflict with other shareholders, including relatives of Gagik Khachatryan, a former official widely known in Armenia as the Super Minister, in reference to his broad powers when he served in government. In mining news, the Russian company that owns Sotk, Armenia's largest gold mine, said this week it would indefinitely suspend operations, citing cross-border fire from Azerbaijan. Constant danger for the employees of the enterprise persists. As a consequence, further work on the Sotk open pit has become impossible due to circumstances beyond the company's control, GeoPro Mining said in a statement. Sotk is located on the border between Armenia's eastern Geghar-Kunik region and the Kelbajar district, which Armenia ceded to Azerbaijan after the 2020 war in and around Nagorno-Karabakh. Clashes last month between Armenian and Azerbaijani troops near Sotk left casualties on both sides. Following GeoPro Mining's announcement, more than 700 people working at the mine were placed on unpaid leave. It was not immediately clear if operations would also be halted at GeoPro Mining's gold smelting plant in the town of Ararat, which could lead to more layoffs. Armenia has substantial deposits of copper, gold, and molybdenum, and the mining industry is one of the country's biggest sources of employment and government revenue. Like Sotk, many of Armenia's mines are owned by Russian companies. GeoPro Mining is controlled by Roman Tratsenko, one of Russia's wealthiest oligarchs. Also this week, Armenian Economy Minister Vahan Karobyan announced that the government will appoint trade representatives to China, Germany, and the United States in an effort to diversify Armenia's trade relations. The move is set to more than double the number of commercial envoys representing Armenia overseas. At present, Armenia has just 2 international trade representatives, one to Iran and the other to the World Trade Organization, headquartered in Switzerland. Armenia notably does not have a commercial representative to Russia, far and away the country's largest trading partner. Karobyan told lawmakers this week that Yerevan's economic ties with Moscow are already so strong that a trade envoy is not needed. Even as Armenia says it is working to expand its trade partners, the country's economic dependence on Russia is only increasing. Trade between Yerevan and Moscow nearly doubled last year to top $5 billion. And in other Russia news, the Armenian government said this week that nearly half of last year's record economic growth could be attributed solely to Russia-related factors. That is according to Armenia's latest state budget, which said that the relocation of Russian labor and capital to Armenia expanded the country's economy by 5 to 6%. Armenia's gross domestic product grew by 12.6% last year, exceeding expansion rates in all other former Soviet countries in the South Caucasus and Central Asia regions. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, more than 100,000 people migrated from Russia to Armenia, and Armenian banks saw an unprecedented inflow of more than $3.5 billion from Russia. Meanwhile, trade between the two countries soared to top $5 billion for the first time. Government figures suggest that last year's growth has continued largely unabated into the new year. Armenia's Economic Activity Index, an indicator that closely approximates GDP growth, has increased by more than 12% year-on-year since January. At a summit of former Soviet countries in Moscow last week, Russian President Vladimir Putin urged leaders in the region to follow Armenia's economic example. "It will be difficult for us to keep up with Armenia," Putin said. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from Armenia, Nagorno-Karabakh, and the region.